The AI generation, Gen Alpha, those born since 2013, are the first generation that will not be learning to use technology, but will be raised alongside it. That's the contention of our next guest, who believes Gen Alpha must be mentally strong and morally anchored to survive the challenges of an AI future. Will they rise to the occasion? Adam Hardage is a combat veteran, former CIA operations officer, and the author of the book, The Alpha Blueprint, Preparing the Next Generation for an AI Future. Adam, Gen Alpha is the first generation to be raised alongside AI technology. So how will that shape and make them different than previous generations?
Really, what's happened is I think of it like a NASCAR race. AI, specifically, ChatGPT, $20 a month or $40 a month, or Gemini, or any of the systems that you want to use, has now, in essence, democratized PhD level intelligence worldwide. And so now everybody for $20 a month has a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, brain set. But the question then that I fundamentally was starting to ask myself was, how do I guide my children in the way ahead? How do I teach them how to stay relevant? How do I try and do we go become Amish and move out to Pennsylvania? It's like, what do you do? And so I looked at that and I said, well, I can't tell them honestly to go to college that it's going to be the secret ingredient to a happy life. Go get a job at a Fortune 500 company, work for 30 years, retire with a 401k. I think that system is dead and gone. And now you've got a system where everyone has access to PhD level of intelligence. It's so how do you differentiate yourself? And that's really the core of everything that this book is about. And I started looking at it and saying, well, God wrote his operating code into us. God programmed our own internal engines and our own operating system, if you will. When we were given our literal DNA from God Almighty. And so the prevailing premise is, if every car on a NASCAR race is programmed the same, meaning they all have the same size engines, the same weight, the same tires, then the difference in who wins the race should come down to the individual inputs of the driver. In other words, the decision-making of the driver, the creativity of the driver, the integrity, the boldness, the courage, the persistence, the willingness to stay in the race, to push it a little bit. So that's really where I think we have to guide our children, is they need to build a firm foundation in family and faith before they start looking at any kind of technology. But their world absolutely will be ruled by technology. So it's not an optional thing for them to be a part of. Everybody's going to have to sort of bite that proverbial bullet, so to speak, and get into technology, but using it as a tool to enhance your God-given creativity and abilities, rather than something to just lean on where you become an unoriginal copy of a copy of a copy.
And I think the biggest problem many people face at the advent of this AI revolution is knowing what's real, what is not real. We have fake news, fake AI created photos, fake video. So what will that mean for Gen Alpha? Do they even understand the moral challenge that this presents to determining the truth?
If you look at the world of lies that our kids are inheriting and will be growing up in, that is the first thing that they must understand, is this is the fact, is the world will lie to you repeatedly and consistently. And so what they must have is a firm foundation in their faith and a firm understanding of who they are individually. And I think that is the key thing to keeping someone's sanity in any day and age, but especially in the world that we're going into, where you can't tell what is real and what is false, because by the time you can even scroll to the next social media post on Instagram, that algorithm could have already changed what you're about to see based on the very conversation you're having in your living room. So it's really frightening stuff, but it's also something that we have to be prepared to teach our children how to handle.
So if Gen Alpha rises to the challenge, what kind of leaders will we see? Where will they take us?
Well, I think if Gen Alpha rises to the challenge, which they have to, I think that they will thrive, not just survive in the coming age. And I mean, really, what we're talking about is the ability for kids to grow up having spiritual discernment in the digital age. So, we're raising a generation that's bombarded by algorithms which are designed to influence their belief and behavior. Us as parents and believers, we need spiritual discernment more than ever, especially so that we can pass that along to our children and raise strong families and raise strong God-fearing kids.
Okay, it all comes down to morality and faith, does it not?
I think it really does. I think this is, the proverbial separating the wheat from the chaff. I think I don't know if we're end times. I'm not really that kind of a guy that would claim to know something like that. I'm certainly not enough of a theologian to claim expertise, but I will say the time is now, not 2 years from now, to get your house right and your family and your faith right.
Okay, the book is The Alpha Blueprint, Preparing the Next Generation for an AI Future. Adam Hardage, thanks for sharing your insights. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Gary.